deep in the heart of Texas.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Lose your life.
All right, just got done with the debate. I enjoyed it. Big ups to everybody again who helped me, as well as the GOAT James Kingdom guys. I made the joke. I did a little review right afterwards. I made the joke of, we could have Tug or we could have these guys, right? So I'm not complaining at all. I enjoyed it. They were good. It was fun. So, but I wanted to make a little bit of a controversial video here. And if you totally don't like politics and culture war stuff and all that, I get it. I understand. You can tune out now if you want. Although I don't think what I'm saying is going to be that controversial, in my opinion. But I recently saw... Well, first, let me start with this. I don't know if you guys remember, but after the Jake Paul and Silva fight, it was either right after the Jake Paul and Silva fight or one of his boxing matches. I did a video, right? And I said, and I'm an absolute guru. I said that the new trend in the new wave in sports is going to be men versus women, right? That's what I think it's going to, right? And it won't last long, I don't think, no offense. It won't last long, but it is going to happen, right? And literally the next day after I made that video, there was this female boxer who said she would fight Jake Paul. And I said Jake Paul would absolutely crush her, I think. And sure enough, right, just recently she came out. I think it's the same boxer. It was a video from 5 years ago, though, to be honest. And she just got stuck by this Russian amateur boxer, right? And they said, oh, well, she worked him over the day before. And then so he got mad and went after her, hit her hard or something like that. Or she even made the claim that he took padding out of the gloves. And she said she even was going to go to her car to get a knife. And like, it's crazy, right? And I heard an interview with, I think the guy's trainer or the gym owner, essentially saying, no, she did not beat him up the day before or like work him over, as she put. And no, he did not take stuffing out of the gloves. They were 16-ounce gloves, right? Through and through, and they were legit. And so that came up. I made that video, and the next day she challenged Jake Paul. Then this video came out, and it reminded me I wanted to do a video on Clay Travis. Again, not to get into politics. I know Clay is from ESPN, left to go do his own thing, largely because of political, social differences, right? Whatever. But he said that he's going to put $1 million down for essentially he gets to pick the best high school boys basketball team against the WNBA All-Star team, essentially, or a WNBA All-Star team, right? And no one's taking him up on it. And he's first of all, he's 1,000% right. There is absolutely no way in the world they would win, in my opinion, and I think it's pretty obvious. And again, to throw in some examples, right? I remember, because I'm from Dallas, I remember there was a big thing going on where the U.S. women's national team, and this is when we were like at our peak, or essentially we had been on the map for a little bit. An under 15 boys club team out of Dallas beat our women's national team in a scrimmage 5-2. You might say scrimmage, that doesn't matter, but I can tell you there's no way that they wanted to lose that game, right? And the boys were definitely playing to win. I can definitely tell you that. But there's also another example when the Australian women's national team, and they were like number 4, number 7 in the world too, so they were one of the better teams as well. They also lost to an under 15 boys club team, right? And this goes back to the one player who said she could beat DeMarcus Cousins one-on-one. And there's been all this talk about how they're more skilled and they can do this and that. And so, look, as someone who's played, semi-competitive basketball, right? I've seen some really good talent up close and personal. And I remember what talent was like in 8th grade and 9th grade. I saw North Shore almost put up 100 points in a 9th grade basketball tournament, and they had a guy who was like 6'8" in 9th grade. He could move around okay. He scored okay, right? And so, he Clay Travis is saying the 5A, the best 5A high school boys basketball team, a picking of his choosing. Essentially, he'll put him up against there. I would say you could put up the best ninth grade. If you could handpick the ninth grade players, essentially from around the U.S., I would put the best ninth grade players from the U.S. alone against the best 12 person team you could for the women, right? And again, I'm not trying to be controversial or anything, but this is sports. We talk some sports here. Maybe a little clickbaity, but whatever. And so I completely think that if you could handpick the best 8th graders or 9th graders, they'd probably still win, right? I remember in 8th grade seeing kids dunk with no issues whatsoever. I mean, they made it look easy, right? 2 hands and everything, correct? So there are definitely some athletes out there, right? Even junior high level, 9th grade level, that I think if you could handpick them, would beat a WNBA All-Star team or the best women around the world. And I don't even think it's close, right? And I also made a video about when I went to the Texas High School State Championship, and the 4A game had Chris Bosh versus Kendrick Perkins, right? Those two guys alone, with just some average scrub high school kids, I could play point guard for that team, and I bet you we would beat a WNBA team, right? Like, I'm no joke. And essentially, I just think it's interesting, right? That here's why I wanted to make this video, right? If you are the WNBA or women in sports, right? I say you do it. Even if you think you're gonna lose, you might get embarrassed, right? The WNBA complains about exposure and people not tuning in. This is your opportunity, in my opinion. Do it. You should do it, right? And the thing is, the only thing is you're going to have to be humble about it, because the best 5A boys high school team is going to run roughshod over you, 20, 30 point spread minimum. They probably beat them by 50, if you want me to be honest, right? If they really went out there to kill and to beat them by as many points as they could in a regulation basketball game, even with the women's ball, I don't think so, man. I think it's going to be a long game and a hard game. But if you're the WNBA, I say you do it. What do you have to lose, right? The league doesn't make money, right? You complain about exposure and eyeballs. Do it. Make a spectacle of it, right? You almost have to take a page out of the Fight Games book here and, WWE, and you got to kind of hype yourself up a little bit, right? And I think they should do it. Again, people are mad at Clay for doing this. He's putting up $1 million. I think it's hilarious. I don't even think it's close, but that's my video on that. I know it's a little controversial, a little clickbaity, but also it has to do with sports. I think it's relative. I think it's interesting. I called this, again, after that last Jake Paul fight. I'll bring up the post and put it up here. And I said, this is going to be the new thing. And literally the next day, a woman boxer challenged Jake Paul. That woman is lately in the news because she fought a guy, right? Was sparring with the guy and got knocked down. Clay Travis is doing this now, right? And, I just don't, do it. Do it. Give the people what they want. Do it. They should definitely do it. If I'm like some marketing executive for the WNBA, I am going through every option here in terms of, maybe you make it 5-minute quarters, right? So that you maybe only lose by 20, something like that, right? Or do some kind of, it's a half court set, right? So you do half court offense with the girls, they get the girls ball, and then you do a half court set with the boys, they get the boys ball, right? Definitely a much more controlled environment for the women, right? Because once you start getting up and down the court, it's lights out, right? So maybe you do something like that where you control the half court and you give them each their own ball and they run half court sets. I think the women would do much better in that scenario. It wouldn't look as bad, and you still get all the eyeballs. Man, I think this is a missed opportunity if the WNBA doesn't come back and do something like that, right? Or maybe the WNBA, you go to Clay Travis and you say, okay, 20-point spread, We do 7-minute quarters in the half court, 24-second shot clock, and essentially we just flip it over, exchange the ball anytime there's a made basket or into possession, right? Refs, fouls, you keep track of all of that, right? And you make it a pay-per-view or something, or whatever, right? You get some kind of big contract deal, you get a bunch of eyeballs on it, right? And I think in a scenario like that, the women can come away with some dignity and everybody wins, right? So that's my 2 cents. That's my multi-level marketing thought process right now. I want to see this so bad. I want to see it so bad, right? And to extrapolate on when I said this is going to be a new thing, right? In that after that Jake Paul fight, I essentially said this is going to be the new thing. I think going forward. Again, it won't last long. It'll be like an exploding star, right? But I think there's going to be some matchups here and some games where men and women play each other. And again, whether it's for, you're getting paid a lot, you're getting eyeballs on your sport and exposure. Maybe you really do think you can win or beat them. And I'm sure there's some out there in a certain kind of environment or setup that they could, right? Maybe if you can get, I was going to say something like fighting and you just have a bigger weight class versus a smaller male weight class, but that even won't work. But things like that, if you could do this in the half court, lower the time, slow it down, that kind of thing. Maybe you say, like, I want a 30-second shot clock or something like that, right? You're trying to limit it to essentially where the boys only get, like, 7 possessions, right? Or something like that in a 7-minute game. 7 to 10 possessions, something like that, right? So I want to see this real bad. I think both sides can win if they do it right. But again, I'm going to stand by the fact that I think the best 8th or 9th grade boys in the country could beat the best women in the world, right? Maybe not in the half-court situation with the 8th and 9th graders because the shooting and the skill level's not quite there yet. But in a full court, I think the best 9th graders could beat the best women in the world, right? And that's my 2 cents. But that's my video, trying to keep it short. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe I'm somewhere in the ballpark or the vicinity, right? But that's my video on this topic. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.